The Colorado dawn broke crisp and golden, painting the dusty stretch of Highway 24 in soft light. Clara Evans wiped down the counter of her diner, the scent of coffee and bacon drifting through the open window. At 50, her graying blonde hair was pulled into a loose bun, her apron stained from years of serving truckers and locals in this quiet town. Outside, near the gravel shoulder where the road curved, a black and tan German shepherd sat vigilant, his ears pricked, eyes fixed on the horizon. Duke, the locals called him, had been there every day for 4 years, waiting for something or someone. No one understood. Clara paused, watching him, her heart heavy. He was thinner now, his fur matted, but those eyes held a fire that refused to fade. "Still out there, huh, Duke?" Clara muttered, grabbing a plate of scraps. She stepped outside, the morning chill biting her skin, and set the food near him. Duke's nose twitched, but he didn't move, his gaze locked on the road. "Stubborn as ever," she sighed, pulling out her phone. On a whim, she started recording, her voice soft but clear. "This is Duke, the Highway 24 ghost. 4 years, rain or shine, he waits. Don't know who for, but it's the kind of loyalty that breaks your heart." She posted the video to the diner's social media, not expecting much. Within minutes, likes and shares skyrocketed, comments flooding. "Is that Max? I know that dog." Across the state in Denver, Emma Wilson scrolled through her phone at her kitchen table, her coffee cold. At 35, her dark hair was tied back, her flannel shirt rumpled from a sleepless night. Her freelance journalism kept her afloat, but the ache of losing her husband, David, in a car accident 4 years ago lingered. Their German shepherd, Duke, had vanished after the crash, presumed dead. Noah, her 12-year-old son, sat across from her, his sandy hair mussed, his blue eyes glued to his tablet. "Mom, look at this," he said, voice urgent, shoving the screen toward her. Emma's breath caught. The video showed Duke, unmistakable, his black and tan coat, the faint scar above his left eye from a puppyhood mishap. Her heart pounded, tears welling. "That's him," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Noah, that's Duke." The comments mentioned Highway 24, a small town hours away. Emma's mind raced. How had Duke survived? Why was he waiting there? Clara was wiping tables when a shiny black SUV pulled up outside, its engine idling too long. Tom Randall stepped out, his tailored suit out of place in the diner's grit. At 45, his slick dark hair and sharp smile screamed money. He'd been sniffing around town, pushing to buy up land along the highway for a strip mall. "Morning, Clara," he said, his tone too smooth. "That dog's still out there, huh? Bad for business, scaring my surveyors." Clara's eyes narrowed, her grip tightening on the rag. "Duke's not hurting anyone, Tom. He's waiting for something. Got more heart than most people I know." She glanced at Duke, who'd risen, growling low, his gaze fixed on Tom. The German shepherd's hackles were up, a warning Clara hadn't seen before. Tom chuckled, but his eyes were cold. "Heart don't pay bills. That land's prime real estate. Get him out or I'll call animal control." He slid a business card across the counter, his smile tightening. "Think about it." Clara pocketed the card, her gut twisting. Duke's growl deepened as Tom returned to his SUV, but Clara's attention snagged on something glinting in the gravel near Duke's spot, a small metal tag, half buried. She knelt, brushing dirt away, and froze. It was a dog tag, engraved, "Duke, Wilson family, Denver." Her heart skipped. "You've got a family, boy," she whispered, stroking Duke's fur. But why was the tag here, and why now? Back in Denver, Emma packed a bag, her hands shaking. "We're going, Noah," she said, voice firm, despite the tears. "We're bringing Duke home." Noah nodded, clutching a photo of him and Duke playing fetch, his eyes bright with hope. "He never gave up on us, Mom. We can't give up on him." Clara called the number on the tag, leaving a voicemail for Emma, her voice trembling with excitement. But as she hung up, Tom's SUV circled back, slowing near Duke. Clara's stomach dropped. The tag, the video going viral, Tom's sudden push, it wasn't coincidence. Someone didn't want Duke found. "What are you hiding, Tom?" she muttered, grabbing her phone to record again. Duke's eyes met hers, fierce and unyielding, a loyal heart waiting for a miracle. Clara hit post, unaware that across the state Emma was already racing toward them, and the truth was about to collide. The Colorado sun climbed higher, warming the cracked asphalt of Highway 24, where Duke, the black and tan German shepherd, sat like a sentinel. His fur was matted, his frame lean from years of scavenging, but his eyes burned with unwavering resolve, scanning every passing car. Clara Evans stood outside her diner, her graying blonde hair tucked under a scarf, her apron smudged from the breakfast rush. The viral video of Duke, now at 10,000 views, had lit up her phone with comments, some claiming to know the dog. Clara clutched the engraved tag she'd found. Duke, Wilson family, Denver, her heart racing with hope. She'd left a voicemail for the Wilsons, but no reply yet. Across the state in Denver, Emma Wilson sped down the interstate, her 12-year-old son, Noah, clutching a worn photo of Duke in the passenger seat. The promise of reunion drove her, but a nagging fear lingered. Why was Duke waiting, and what had kept him there? Clara poured coffee for a regular, her eyes drifting to Duke. The diner was a cozy relic, its checkered floors and vinyl booths a hub for truckers and locals in this sleepy town. At 50, Clara knew every face, every story, but Duke was a mystery, a loyal ghost haunting the highway since the day he appeared 4 years ago. "You think he's really got a family out there?" asked Pete, a grizzled trucker, nodding toward Duke. "I know he does," Clara said, sliding the tag across the counter. "Found this yesterday." "Someone's missing him bad." Her voice softened, thinking of the dog's stubborn vigil through blizzards and heat waves. She glanced at her phone, the video's comments now flooded with heart emojis and pleas to help Duke. One stood out. "That's my neighbor's dog. Lost in a crash years ago." Clara's pulse quickened. She'd messaged the commenter, a woman named Jenny, but no response yet. Emma's SUV hummed along, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun, her flannel shirt creased from restless nights. At 35, her freelance journalism barely kept the bills paid, but it was Noah's hope that fueled her now. "He's been waiting for us, Mom," Noah said, his sandy hair falling into his eyes, his voice thick with emotion. All this time, Duke never gave up. Emma's throat tightened, tears blurring the road. "I know, buddy," she said, gripping the wheel. "We thought he was gone, but he's still fighting for us." The car accident 4 years ago, David's death, the chaos, Duke's disappearance, had shattered them. She'd assumed Duke perished, but the video, his scarred eye unmistakable, reignited a spark she'd thought lost. Her phone buzzed, a voicemail from Clara. Emma played it, Clara's voice warm but urgent. "This is Clara Evans from the Highway 24 diner. I found your dog's tag. Duke's here, waiting. Please call me." Noah's eyes lit up. "That's him! We're so close!" Emma smiled, but a chill ran through her. The tag, why was it buried, and why had no one found Duke sooner? Back at the diner, Clara was wiping tables when the door jingled and Tom Randall strode in, his tailored suit sharp against the diner's grit. His dark hair was slicked back, his smile practiced but cold. "Clara, we need to talk about that dog," he said, leaning on the counter. "My crew's starting work on the highway lot tomorrow. Can't have him scaring folks." Clara's jaw tightened, her hand pocketing the tag. "Duke's not scaring anyone, Tom. He's waiting for his family." "Got a tag to prove it." She held his gaze, noting the flicker of unease in his eyes. Tom's push to buy the land for a strip mall had intensified lately, and Duke's spot was right in his crosshairs. Family, huh? Tom's smile didn't reach his eyes. 4 years is a long wait. Maybe they're gone. Animal control can handle him. He slid a contract across the counter, his voice smooth. Sign this. Sell me the lot next to the diner. Good money, Clara. Think about your future. Clara pushed the contract back, her voice steady. My future's fine, Tom. Duke's got a home, and I'm helping him find it. Duke's low growl echoed outside, his eyes locked on Tom through the window, hackles raised. Clara's skin prickled. Duke never growled at locals, only Tom. Tom's smile faded, his tone hardening. Don't make this hard, Clara. That land's mine, one way or another. He left, his SUV peeling out, kicking up gravel. Clara's heart raced. Tom's urgency, the buried tag, the viral video. It felt orchestrated, like someone wanted Duke gone before his family arrived. She stepped outside, kneeling beside Duke, who nuzzled her hand, his whine soft but fierce. You're hiding something, aren't you, boy? She said, stroking his black and tan fur. Her phone pinged. A message from Jenny, the commenter. That's Duke Wilson. Lost in a crash on Highway 24, 2020. His owner, Emma, lives in Denver. I'm contacting her now. Clara's hope surged, but a glint in the dirt caught her eye, a small, blinking device wired into the diner's fence, a tracker, military grade, like the ones her late brother, a vet, had described. Her blood ran cold. Someone was watching Duke, and it wasn't just Tom. Clara grabbed her phone, dialing Emma again, her voice urgent. Emma, it's Clara. Duke's in danger. Get here fast. As she hung up, Tom's SUV circled back, slowing near the highway. Duke stood, growling, his loyalty a shield against an unseen threat. Clara's gut screamed. Tom wasn't just after land. The tag, the tracker, the crash. What was he hiding? Emma's SUV was hours away, but Clara knew the miracle was coming, and she'd fight to keep Duke safe until it hit. The Colorado dusk settled over Highway 24, casting a soft purple haze across the gravel shoulder where Duke, the black and tan German shepherd, stood his relentless vigil. His ears twitched at every passing car, his eyes sharp despite the wear of 4 years, matted fur, lean frame, and a scar above his left eye marking his survival. Clara Evans stood outside her diner, her graying blonde hair tucked into a scarf, her apron crumpled from a long day. The tracker she'd found wired to the fence, a blinking, military-grade device, sat heavy in her pocket, a chilling clue that someone was watching Duke. Her viral video of the dog had exploded to 20,000 views, comments flooding with leads, but also threats. Stop posting about that mutt. Clara's gut twisted. Tom Randall's push to seize the land where Duke waited felt too convenient, too urgent. Inside the diner, the clatter of plates and chatter of locals filled the air, but Clara's focus was on her phone. She'd connected with Emma Wilson, Duke's owner, who was hours away, racing from Denver with her son Noah. The engraved tag, Duke, Wilson Family, Denver, lay on the counter, a beacon of hope. Pete, a grizzled trucker, sipped his coffee, eyeing Clara. You think that dog's family's really coming? He asked, voice gruff but kind. They're coming, Clara said, her voice firm, though worry gnawed at her. Emma sounded like she'd moved mountains to get here. She glanced outside where Duke sat, unmoving, his loyalty a quiet fire. The tag, the tracker, Tom's threats. It wasn't just about land. Something darker was at play, tied to the crash that tore Duke from his family. In Denver, Emma's SUV barreled down the interstate, her dark hair loose, her flannel shirt clinging to her sweat-dampened skin. At 35, her freelance journalism sharpened her instincts, but it was her heart that drove her now. Duke, alive after 4 years, waiting. Noah, 12, sat beside her, his sandy hair falling into his eyes, clutching a worn tennis ball Duke used to chase. "He's been out there all this time, Mom," Noah said, his voice thick with awe and pain. "Why didn't we look harder?" Emma's throat tightened, tears stinging. "We thought he was gone, buddy," she said, gripping the wheel. "After the crash with your dad." She trailed off, David's death a wound that never healed. The accident, a truck veering into their car, the chaos, Duke's absence, had shattered them. But Duke's fighting for us. We're fighting for him now. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Stay away from Highway 24. He's not yours anymore." Emma's blood ran cold, her foot pressing the gas harder. Someone didn't want this reunion. Back at the diner, Clara was locking up when headlights sliced through the twilight. Tom Randall's black SUV, idling too close to Duke's spot. Duke rose, growling low, his hackles raised, a warning that sent chills down Clara's spine. Tom stepped out, his tailored suit pristine, his dark hair slicked back, but his smile was gone. "Clara, you're making things messy," he said, voice low, edged with menace. "That video's stirring up trouble. Take it down." Clara crossed her arms, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "Trouble." "Duke's waiting for his family, Tom. Found his tag, called his owner. They're coming." "You got a problem with that?" She held up her phone, the video still racking up views, comments now mentioning a crash on Highway 24 4 years ago. Tom's eyes narrowed, a flicker of panic breaking his calm. "You don't know what you're digging into," he said, stepping closer. "That land's mine, and that dog's a nuisance. One call to animal control, and he's gone." Duke's growl deepened, his body tensing, ready to lunge. Clara's hand slipped into her pocket, gripping the tracker, her mind racing. Tom's urgency wasn't just about real estate. Before she could respond, Duke bolted, not at Tom, but toward a patch of dirt near the road. He dug furiously, claws tearing earth, unearthing a twisted piece of metal, a car part, rusted but marked with a faint VIN number. Clara's breath caught, her brother's stories of crash investigations flashing in her mind. "What the hell?" She knelt, brushing dirt from the fragment, her pulse spiking. It was from a vehicle, likely from the crash that stranded Duke. Tom's face paled, his hand twitching toward his pocket. "Leave it, Clara," he snapped, his voice sharp. "You're in over your head." He turned, striding back to his SUV, but Duke's snarl followed him, a warning that echoed in Clara's bones. She pocketed the metal, her hands shaking. The tag, the tracker, now this. Tom wasn't just a greedy developer. He was hiding something tied to that crash. Clara rushed inside, dialing Detective Ryan Carter, a local cop and old friend. "Ryan, it's Clara," she said, voice low, glancing at Duke through the window. "Duke dug up something, a car part from a crash, I think. Tom Randall's acting cagey, and I found a tracker by the fence." "Something's wrong." Ryan's voice was calm but urgent. "Stay put, Clara. I'm coming." That crash. There were rumors it wasn't an accident. Keep Duke close. Clara hung up, her heart racing. She stepped outside, kneeling beside Duke, who nuzzled her, his whine soft but fierce. "You're protecting something, aren't you, boy?" she said, stroking his black and tan fur. Her phone pinged a new comment on the video. "That's Duke. My cousin died in that crash." The truck driver was never caught. Clara's blood ran cold. The crash wasn't random, and Duke's vigil wasn't just loyalty. It was a clue. Emma's SUV was an hour out, Noah asleep, the tennis ball in his lap. Her phone buzzed again, another text. "Turn back or the dog pays." Fear gripped her, but she thought of Duke's eyes in the video, unwavering, waiting. "We're coming, Duke," she whispered, tears falling. "Hold on." Back at the diner, Clara locked the door, her eyes on Duke, now pacing, his growl a challenge to the shadows. Tom's SUV circled the highway again, its headlights glinting like a predator's eyes. Clara grabbed a flashlight, ready to stand guard. The miracle was close, but so was danger, and Duke's heart was the key to unraveling it all. The Colorado night was a heavy cloak over Highway 24, the stars hidden behind clouds that promised rain. Clara Evans stood outside her diner, her graying blonde hair damp from the mist, her apron swapped for a jacket as she gripped a flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, landing on Duke, the black and tan German shepherd, who paced his vigil by the gravel shoulder. His ears twitched, eyes locked on the road, his scarred fur a testament to 4 years of waiting. The car part Duke had unearthed, a rusted fragment with a VIN number, sat heavy in Clara's pocket alongside the military-grade tracker and his tag. Her viral video had hit 50,000 views, but the threatening texts to Emma Wilson, "Stay away from Highway 24," and Tom Randall's menace hinted at a truth buried deeper than the crash that stole Duke's family. Emma and Noah Wilson were minutes away, their SUV racing toward a reunion, but Clara's gut screamed danger was closer. Inside the diner, the lights were dim, the last customers gone. Clara's phone buzzed, Emma's voice, strained but determined. "We're almost there, Clara." 10 minutes. Is Duke okay?" Clara glanced at Duke, his growl low as a black pickup slowed near the highway. "He's fine, but hurry," she said, her voice tight. "Something's off here." She hung up, her heart pounding. The pickup belonged to Tom's crew circling like vultures. The car part tied to the crash wasn't just a clue. It was a threat to someone's secrets. Emma's SUV roared through the outskirts, her dark hair loose, her flannel shirt clinging to her sweat-soaked skin. At 35, her journalist instincts were sharp, but it was Noah's hope that fueled her. The 12-year-old clutched Duke's old tennis ball, his sandy hair falling into his eyes. "He's waiting for us, Mom," Noah said, voice trembling with excitement and fear. "But those texts, what if someone hurts him?" Emma's jaw clenched, her hands gripping the wheel. "Nobody's touching Duke," she said, her voice fierce despite the dread. The crash that killed David, her husband, flashed in her mind. Twisted metal, sirens, Duke's absence. She'd thought him dead, but the video, his scarred eye unmistakable, had reignited her fight. Another text buzzed. "Turn back now, or the dog's gone." Emma's blood ran cold, but she floored the gas, the diner's neon sign glowing in the distance. Clara was locking the diner when headlights flared. Tom Randall's SUV, followed by the pickup, parking aggressively near Duke's spot. Tom stepped out, his tailored suit pristine, his dark hair slick despite the mist. 2 men followed, burly and grim, one holding a catch-pole. Duke's growl was a deep rumble, his body low, ready to strike. "Clara, last chance," Tom said, his voice cold. "Hand over the dog, or we take him." "That land's mine, and he's in the way." Clara's hand tightened on the flashlight, her voice steady but her heart racing. "He's not yours, Tom. His family's coming." "I know about the crash. The car part. What are you hiding?" She stepped closer to Duke, who bared his teeth, his loyalty a shield. Tom's smile was razor-thin, his eyes glinting with panic. "You're digging a grave, Clara. That crash was an accident. Let it go." He nodded to his men, who advanced, the catchpole gleaming. Duke lunged, snapping at the air, forcing them back. Clara's pulse surged. She was alone, Ryan Carter still en route, but she wouldn't let them take Duke. Headlights pierced the dark, Emma's SUV screeching to a stop. Emma leaped out, her eyes locking on Duke, tears streaming. "Duke!" she cried, voice breaking. The German shepherd froze, his head snapping toward her, a whine escaping his throat. Noah scrambled out, clutching the tennis ball, his voice a sob. "It's us, boy. We're here." Duke bolted, ignoring Tom's men, and barreled into Emma, his paws on her shoulders, licking her face. Noah dropped to his knees, hugging Duke's neck, tears soaking his fur. "You waited," Noah choked out. "You never gave up." Clara's eyes welled, the reunion a miracle unfolding, but Tom's voice cut through like a blade. "Nice, but it changes nothing," he said, stepping forward, his men regrouping. "That dog's a stray, and this land's mine. Hand him over, or animal control's the least of your problems." His hand rested on a concealed bulge, a gun, Clara realized, her stomach dropping. Emma stood, shielding Noah and Duke, her voice fierce. "He's my dog, and we're not leaving without him. What's your deal with this land, Randall?" "Scared we'll find something?" Her journalist's edge sharpened, sensing Tom's fear. Duke's growl was a low thunder, his body between Noah and the men, ready to protect. Clara pulled the car part from her pocket, holding it up. "This came from the crash that took Emma's husband. Duke found it. You know more than you're saying, Tom." The men hesitated, glancing at Tom, whose face twitched, betraying guilt. "You're out of your depth," Tom snapped, his hand inching toward his gun. But Duke's snarl stopped him. The German shepherd's teeth bared, a loyal guardian unbroken by years. Headlights flashed again. Detective Ryan Carter's cruiser, siren blaring, skidding into the lot. Ryan, a lean man in his 40s with short brown hair and a sheriff's jacket, stepped out, his gun drawn. "Step back, Randall," he barked. "Hands where I can see 'em." Tom froze, his men dropping the catchpole, hands raised. Ryan's eyes flicked to Clara, then Emma, relief softening his stern face. "You okay, Clara? Emma? Noah?" He nodded at Duke, a faint smile. "Hell of a dog you got there." Emma's tears fell, her arms around Duke, Noah clinging to his fur. "He's our miracle," she said, voice shaking. "But this isn't over, is it?" She glared at Tom, who avoided her gaze, his composure cracking. Ryan cuffed Tom's men, his voice grim. "Found records at the station. Crash reports altered. Witnesses paid off. Someone covered up that accident, and Tom's tied to it." He looked at Clara, holding up the car part. "This VIN traces to a truck owned by Randall's company. Care to explain, Tom?" Tom's face paled, but he stayed silent, his eyes darting to the road. Clara's heart sank. The tracker, the car part, Tom's desperation. "He's not just after land," she said, voice low. "He's hiding what happened that night." Emma's eyes widened, realization dawning. David's death wasn't an accident. Duke pressed against Noah, his whine a vow of protection. Emma's voice was steel. "You took my husband, Tom. If you had anything to do with that crash, I'll find out." Noah hugged Duke tighter, his voice a whisper. "We've got you now, boy. No one's taking you again." Ryan pushed Tom toward the cruiser, but a glint in the diner's lot caught Clara's eye. A second tracker, wired to her truck, its red light pulsing. Her blood ran cold. "Ryan, look!" she called, pointing. The twist landed like a blow. Tom wasn't alone. Someone else was watching, orchestrating this, and Duke's vigil had stirred their secrets. As Ryan bagged the tracker, Emma met Clara's gaze, a shared resolve forming. The reunion was real, but the truth was still out there, and Duke's loyalty was their guide. The Colorado dawn broke with a chill, the mist curling around Highway 24 like a shroud over the small town's secrets. Clara Evans stood in the diner's gravel lot, her graying blonde hair loose, her jacket zipped against the cold. The neon sign flickered, casting a dim glow on Duke, the black and tan German shepherd who sat vigil by the road, his scarred eye glinting with unwavering resolve. Emma Wilson knelt beside him, her dark hair tangled, her flannel shirt rumpled from the emotional reunion hours ago. Her hands trembled as she stroked Duke's fur, tears still fresh from finding him after 4 years. Noah, her 12-year-old son, clung to Duke's side, his sandy hair falling into his eyes, a tennis ball clutched tight. The car apart from the crash, a rusted fragment with a VIN number, sat in Clara's pocket, alongside the 2 trackers, proof that Tom Randall's land grab hid a darker truth about the accident that killed Emma's husband, David. Detective Ryan Carter's cruiser idled nearby, Tom and his men in custody, but the second tracker on Clara's truck hinted at a larger player watching Duke's every move. Emma's voice was soft, raw. "You waited for us, Duke." "All this time." Duke whined, nuzzling her, his loyalty a beacon after years of loss. Noah buried his face in Duke's fur, his voice muffled. "I knew you'd come back, boy." "I never stopped believing." Emma hugged them both, her heart full but heavy. Tom's panic, the altered crash reports, the trackers. David's death wasn't an accident, and Duke's vigil was the key to unraveling why. Clara broke the silence, her voice steady but urgent. "We can't stay here, Emma. Tom's not working alone. That second tracker means someone's still watching." She glanced at Ryan, who was on his radio, coordinating with the station. "Ryan's digging into the VIN, but we need to move Duke somewhere safe." Emma stood, her journalist instincts kicking in, her eyes fierce. "Safe? Whoever's behind this wants Duke gone because he's a witness to that crash." "I'm not letting them touch him." She looked at Noah, then Duke, resolve hardening. "We're finding the truth. For David. For Duke." Ryan approached, his sheriff's jacket creased, his brown hair mussed from a sleepless night. "VIN traces to a truck owned by Randall's company, scrapped right after the crash," he said, voice grim. "Reports were doctored, witnesses paid off, evidence buried. Tom's not talking, but his men mentioned a boss calling the shots." He held up the second tracker, bagged as evidence. "This is high-end, not Tom's style." "Someone with pull is covering their tracks." Clara's hand tightened on her flashlight, her gut churning. "The land deal," she said, eyes narrowing. "Tom's been pushing to bulldoze Duke's spot for months. Whatever's buried there, they don't want us finding it." She looked at Duke, who growled softly, sensing the tension, his ears twitching toward the road. Noah's voice piped up, small but fierce. "Duke's been guarding something, hasn't he?" "That's why he stayed." He tossed the tennis ball, Duke catching it mid-air, a fleeting moment of joy in the gloom. Emma's heart ached. Noah's faith in Duke mirroring David's love for the dog. Ryan nodded, his voice low. "There's an old storage lot near the crash site, owned by Randall's company, sealed off since the accident. If there's evidence, it's there." He met Emma's gaze. "I can get a warrant, but it'll take time. Tom's boss might move first." Emma's jaw clenched. "We don't have time." "Duke led us this far. We go now." She looked at Clara, gratitude softening her edge. "You've kept him alive, Clara." "Come with us?" Clara hesitated, then nodded, her voice firm. "For Duke?" "Damn right." She grabbed a crowbar from her truck, ready for whatever they'd uncover. Noah clutched Duke's collar, his eyes wide but determined. "Let's find what Dad knew, Mom." The storage lot was a mile down the highway, a chain-link fence surrounding rusted trailers and overgrown weeds. The group approached under cover of dusk, Ryan's cruiser parked out of sight. Duke led, nose low, his growl intermittent as he sniffed the ground. Emma's flashlight swept the lot, landing on a locked shed, its door marked with Randall's company logo. Clara's crowbar made quick work of the padlock, the door creaking open to reveal stacks of dusty files, car parts, and a safe bolted to the floor. Duke, stay, Emma whispered, her heart pounding as the dog sat, eyes locked on the shed. Ryan rifled through files, pulling out a crash report. David's name, the date, but details blacked out. "This is it," he said, voice tight. "Someone erased the truck driver's ID, but there's a witness list, paid to stay quiet." Clara found a logbook, entries showing payments to a J. Harper days after the crash. "Who's Harper?" she asked, her voice sharp. Duke's sudden bark cut through, his body tensing, nose pointed at the safe. Emma knelt, her hands shaking as she tried the handle. Locked. "There's something in there," she said, her journalist's nose for truth flaring. Noah's eyes widened, spotting a faint scratch on the safe's dial. A code etched in haste, 24-10-20, the crash date. Emma spun the dial, her breath hitching as it clicked open. Inside was a USB drive, a burner phone, and a blood-stained note. "Harper knows. Silence him." Clara's face paled. "Blood? This isn't just a cover-up." Ryan grabbed the USB, his voice grim. "Harper was the driver. If he's alive, he's the key." But Duke's growl turned feral, his body lunging toward the fence. Headlights flared, a black van, no plates, barreling into the lot. 3 men in dark jackets spilled out, armed with pistols, their leader shouting, "Get the drive! Kill the dog!" Emma dove behind a trailer, pulling Noah, Duke shielding them with a snarl. Clara swung her crowbar, knocking one man's gun away, while Ryan fired, grazing another. "Stay down!" Ryan yelled, but Emma's heart raced. Duke was exposed. "Duke, come!" she screamed, but the German shepherd charged, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming without killing, a move David had trained. The man screamed, dropping his gun, but the third fired, the bullet clipping Duke's ear. Blood sprayed, Duke yelping but holding his ground. "No!" Noah cried, breaking free, running to Duke. Emma lunged, tackling him behind a crate as bullets tore the air. Clara dragged the disarmed man down, zip-tying him, her voice fierce. "Who sent you?" The man spat, eyes cold. "You're dead, lady. Harper's boss owns this town." Ryan dropped the shooter, but the van peeled out, the third man escaping. Emma crawled to Duke, her hands shaking as she checked his ear. Bloody but shallow. "You're okay, boy," she whispered, tears falling. Duke licking her face. Noah hugged him, sobbing. "You saved us, Duke." Clara's voice was grim, holding the note. "Harper's alive and they're scared." This crash wasn't an accident. It was murder. Emma's eyes burned, David's face flashing, his late-night calls, his worry about a deal gone wrong. "David knew something," she said, voice breaking. "That's why they killed him." Ryan bagged the USB and phone, his face set. "We need to find Harper fast, but that van's reporting back. We're not safe here." He looked at Duke, respect in his eyes. "Your dog's a damn hero, Emma." Emma clung to Duke, Noah's arms around them, her voice fierce. "He's family, and we're not stopping until we know why David died." Clara met her gaze, the crowbar still in hand. "I'm with you, for Duke." The twist landed hard. David's death was a hit, and Duke's vigil had guarded the truth. The USB held answers, but the boss was out there, and Duke's blood was a warning. As sirens wailed, Ryan's backup nearing, Emma knew the miracle wasn't over. The fight was just beginning. The Colorado night was a restless beast, the air thick with the threat of rain, as Clara Evans's diner sat quiet on Highway 24. Inside, the fluorescent lights buzzed, casting a pale glow over the checkered floor where Emma Wilson sat at a booth, her dark hair loose, her flannel shirt creased from a sleepless night. Her hands trembled as she clutched a coffee mug, the weight of the storage lot ambush still raw. Duke's bloodied ear, the USB drive, the burner phone, and the blood-stained note. "Harper knows." Silence him. Noah, her 12-year-old son, leaned against Duke, the black and tan German shepherd, whose scarred eye glinted with quiet resolve. The boy's sandy hair fell into his eyes, his fingers tracing the tennis ball Duke loved, his voice a whisper. "You're okay now, boy. We've got you." Clara stood by the counter, her graying blonde hair tucked into a scarf, her jacket swapped for an apron, the rusted car part and trackers locked in her safe. Detective Ryan Carter paced near the door, his sheriff's jacket unbuttoned, his brown hair mussed as he studied the USB's files on his tablet. Tom Randall was in custody, but the ambush proved a bigger player. Harper's boss was pulling strings tied to the crash that killed Emma's husband David. Emma's voice broke the silence, raw with grief. "David knew something, didn't he? That's why they killed him." She met Ryan's gaze, her journalist instincts sharp. "The crash wasn't an accident. Duke's been waiting at that spot because it's where it happened. He's guarding the truth." Ryan nodded, his face grim. "The USB has emails, Tom to a J. Harper, payments for silence, orders to scrap the truck. Harper was the driver, but someone higher up covered it up." He tapped the tablet, showing a grainy photo of a man in a trucker hat, mid-40s, scarred face. "John Harper disappeared after the crash. If he's alive, he's our lead." Clara's hands tightened on her coffee pot, her voice low. "Tom's been desperate to bulldoze that land. Whatever's there, evidence maybe, it's worth killing for." She glanced at Duke, who growled softly, his ears twitching toward the window. "He's been protecting it all this time." Noah's eyes lit up, his voice fierce. Duke knew Dad was in trouble. That's why he stayed. He hugged the German shepherd, Duke's whine a vow of loyalty. Emma's heart ached, Noah's faith mirroring David's love for the dog. "We need to find Harper," she said, standing, her resolve ironclad. "For David, for Duke." Ryan hesitated, his voice cautious. "Harper's a ghost, Emma. The boss, whoever he is, has deep pockets. Those trackers, the hit squad. We're up against real power." He looked at Clara, then Duke. "We need to move you all somewhere safe. My station's got a safe house." Emma's jaw clenched, her eyes blazing. "I'm not hiding. Duke didn't hide for 4 years. We owe him this." Noah nodded, clutching Duke's collar, his small frame radiating courage. Clara set down the pot, her voice firm. "I'm in. This town's my home and Duke's family now." "Let's end this." Ryan sighed, conceding. "All right, but we're smart about it. The burner phone's got texts. Harper's last known location, a motel off Route 50, 20 miles out. We go at dawn. Keep it quiet." He pocketed the tablet, but Duke's sudden growl cut through, his body tensing, nose pointed at the diner's back door. Emma's pulse spiked, her hand dropping to the pepper spray in her pocket. "Someone's here," Clara whispered, grabbing her crowbar from under the counter. Ryan drew his gun, motioning for Noah to stay low. Duke stood, hackles raised, his snarl a deep warning. The back door creaked, a shadow moving in the alley. Emma shielded Noah, her voice steady despite fear. "Duke, stay!" The German shepherd obeyed, but his eyes burned, ready to strike. Ryan crept toward the door, gun raised, and kicked it open. A figure stumbled back, a woman, mid-30s, with short red hair and a worn jacket, her hands raised. "Don't shoot," she gasped, eyes wide. "I'm Jenny Harper." "I commented on the video. I know Duke." Clara lowered the crowbar, her voice sharp. "Jenny, you said you knew the Wilsons' dog. Why are you sneaking around?" Emma stepped forward, Duke calming at her touch, though his growl lingered. "Talk," she said, her journalist's edge cutting through. "What do you know about Duke? About the crash?" Jenny's hands shook, her voice trembling. "My brother, John Harper, drove the truck that hit your car." It wasn't an accident. He was paid to do it. The twist landed like a bomb, Emma's breath catching, Noah's eyes widening. John didn't know it'd kill anyone, Jenny continued, tears falling. He was desperate, took money from a man named Victor Kane. After the crash, John ran, but they're hunting him now. I saw your video, knew it was Duke. He's the only witness left. Emma's world tilted, David's face flashing, his late-night calls, his fear of a deal. Victor Kane? She whispered, rage and grief colliding. Who is he? Why target my husband? Jenny swallowed, her voice barely audible. Kane's a fixer, covers up for big shots. John said your husband stumbled onto a land scam tied to Kane's client. The crash was meant to silence him. She looked at Duke, her eyes haunted. That dog's been waiting at the spot where it happened, guarding evidence. Kane wants him dead. Clara's face paled, the car part in her pocket burning. The land Tom's after, it's not just for a strip mall, is it? Jenny shook her head. There's a buried truck part, maybe more, that ties Kane to the crash. John hid it before he fled. Ryan's voice was grim, holstering his gun. Kane's our boss. If we find John, we get Kane. He looked at Duke, respect in his eyes. Your dog's been fighting this war longer than us. But headlights flared outside, another van, no plates, screeching into the lot. Emma's heart stopped, the ambush replaying. They found us, she gasped, pulling Noah behind the counter, Duke snarling, ready to protect. Back exit, Ryan shouted, shoving Jenny toward the kitchen. Clara grabbed her crowbar, Emma clutching Duke's collar, Noah's hand in hers. The front door burst open, 3 men in dark masks storming in, pistols drawn. The drive, one barked. Hand it over, or the kids first. Emma's blood ran cold, but Duke lunged, a black and tan blur, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming with trained precision. The man screamed, gun clattering as Clara swung her crowbar, knocking another back. Ryan fired, grazing a third, but more headlights flashed, back up for the attackers. Emma's pepper spray burned the air, buying seconds, but Noah's cry pierced her heart. He'd tripped, the tennis ball rolling free. Duke! Get him! Emma yelled, and the German shepherd darted, shielding Noah, dragging him behind a booth. Clara hauled Noah up, her voice fierce. Stay with me, kid! Ryan kicked the door shut, barricading it, but the van outside rammed the wall, plaster cracking. Jenny's voice shook, grabbing a knife. Kane's men, they'll kill us all. Emma met Ryan's gaze, her voice steel. We fight for Duke, for David. She grabbed a chair, ready to swing. Duke's snarl a war cry. The twist deepened. Kane wasn't just a fixer, he was a killer. And Duke's vigil had exposed his empire. As the wall buckled, Emma knew. The USB was their weapon, Harper their hope, and Duke their heart. The diner shook, but their fight was unbroken. The Colorado night roared with chaos, the walls of Clara Evans's diner trembling as a black van rammed the front, plaster crumbling under the impact. Emma Wilson crouched behind the counter, her dark hair plastered with sweat, her flannel shirt torn from the fight. Her heart pounded, her pepper spray empty, but her grip on 12-year-old Noah's hand was ironclad. Duke, their black and tan German shepherd, stood over Noah, his scarred eye glinting, his growl a fierce shield against the masked gunman storming through the shattered door. Clara, her graying blonde hair loose, swung a crowbar, her apron discarded, her eyes blazing with defiance. Detective Ryan Carter fired his pistol, pinning a gunman behind a booth, his sheriff's jacket bloodied from a graze. Jenny Harper, the red-haired sister of the crash's driver, clutched a kitchen knife, her face pale but resolute. The USB drive, burner phone, and blood-stained note. Harper knows. Silence him. Were stuffed in Emma's pack. proof that Victor Kane, a ruthless fixer, orchestrated the crash that killed her husband, David, and now hunted Duke to bury the truth. "Stay low," Ryan shouted, his voice hoarse as bullets tore through the diner's vinyl booths. The gunmen, 4 now, with more outside, advanced, their leader barking, "Get the drive! Kill the dog!" Emma's blood ran cold, but Duke's snarl was a war cry, his loyalty unbroken after 4 years of waiting by Highway 24. Noah's eyes were wide, his sandy hair matted, clutching Duke's collar. "He won't let them hurt us, Mom," he whispered, voice trembling but fierce. Emma's throat tightened, David's memory, his laughter, his love for Duke fueling her. "We're getting out, Noah," she said, her voice steady despite the fear. "For Dad." She grabbed a broken chair leg, ready to fight, her journalist instincts screaming that Kane's empire was crumbling and Duke was the key. Clara smashed a bottle over a gunman's head, dropping him, but the van rammed again, the wall buckling. "We can't hold him," she yelled, her crowbar slick with sweat. Jenny slashed at another attacker, her knife grazing his arm, but a gunshot grazed her shoulder, and she stumbled, blood seeping through her jacket. Ryan tackled the shooter, zip-tying him, but the leader charged, aiming at Duke. Emma lunged, swinging the chair leg, cracking his wrist. The gun clattered, and Duke pounced, pinning the man, his jaws inches from his throat. "Call him off!" the man screamed, terror in his eyes. Emma whistled, and Duke backed away, snarling, his scarred ear bloodied but his resolve fierce. Noah hugged him, tears falling. "You're a hero, boy," he choked out. Ryan hauled the leader up, his voice lethal. "Who's Kane's client?" "Talk," the man spat, defiant. "You're dead, cop. Kane's untouchable." But Duke's growl drew Ryan's eye to the man's pocket, a burner phone buzzing with a new text. "Finish it." Harper's at Route 50 Motel. Emma's pulse spiked. John Harper, the driver, was alive, and Kane was closing in. "We've got a location," Emma said, grabbing the phone, her voice urgent. "Route 50 Motel." We find Harper. We get Kane. Clara helped Jenny stand, binding her wound with a dish towel, her face grim. They knew we were here. Someone tipped them off. Before Ryan could respond, headlights flared outside, another van reinforcing the attackers. The diner's back wall groaned, ready to collapse. "We're out of time," Ryan yelled, shoving a table against the door. "Back exit, now!" Emma pulled Noah, Duke leading, his nose low, sniffing for danger. Clara grabbed her crowbar, Jenny stumbling but clutching the knife. They burst into the alley, the cold air biting, but a gunshot rang out, splintering the doorframe. Emma dove, shielding Noah, Duke snarling as a new gunman appeared, blocking their path. "End of the line," the man sneered, pistol raised. But Duke charged, a black and tan blur, tackling him, disarming with trained precision. The man screamed, and Clara's crowbar finished the job, knocking him out. "Move!" she barked, leading them to Ryan's cruiser parked behind the diner. They piled in, Emma holding Noah, Duke's warmth grounding her, Jenny gasping in the back, Clara shotgun with the crowbar. Ryan floored the gas, tires screeching as the van pursued, its headlights glaring. "Hold on!" he shouted, swerving onto a side road, the cruiser bouncing over gravel. Bullets pinged the rear, shattering the back window. Emma ducked, her voice fierce. "Ryan, get us to that motel! Harper's our shot!" Noah clung to Duke, his voice a sob. "They can't take him, Mom." "Not again." Clara turned, her eyes blazing. "They won't, kid. Duke's fought too damn long." She glanced at Jenny, her voice sharp. "You sure your brother's at that motel? If this is a trap..." Jenny's face was pale, blood soaking her sleeve, but her voice held. "John called me yesterday, scared out of his mind. Said Kane's men were closing in. He's at the motel, room 12, I swear." Her eyes met Emma's, guilt raw. "I'm sorry, Emma." John didn't mean to kill your husband. He was broke, took Kane's money. He's been running ever since. Emma's heart twisted, rage and grief colliding. He took David from us, she said, voice breaking. But if he helps us stop Kane, maybe that's something. Duke whined, nuzzling her, his loyalty a lifeline. The van gained, ramming the cruiser's bumper, jolting them. Ryan cursed, swerving, but a second vehicle, a black SUV, cut them off, forcing him to brake hard. "Ambush!" Ryan yelled, drawing his gun. The SUV's doors flew open, 3 more gunmen spilling out, rifles raised. Emma's breath caught, but Duke's growl was a thunderclap, his body coiled. "Stay with Noah," she told Clara, grabbing a tire iron from the floor. Ryan fired, dropping 1 man, but the others advanced, pinning them. Jenny's voice shook, pointing at the SUV's driver, a man in a suit, face obscured. "That's Kane," she whispered. "He's here." The twist hit like a blade. Kane himself, not just a shadow, leading the hunt. Emma's rage surged, David's memory burning. "Cover me," she shouted, diving out, tire iron raised. Duke leaped with her, tackling a gunman, his jaws disarming without killing, a move David had taught. Clara swung her crowbar, guarding Noah, while Jenny threw a rock, distracting another. Ryan's shots bought seconds, but Kane's voice cut through, cold and commanding. "Enough!" The drive, or the boy dies. Emma froze, Noah's terrified face behind the cruiser's window. Duke stood between her and Kane, snarling, blood dripping from his ear. "You killed my husband," Emma said, voice lethal. "Why? What was David to you?" Kane's smile was ice, his suit pristine despite the chaos. "He was a loose end, sniffing around my client's land deal." "You're another. Hand over the drive, and the kid lives." His gun aimed at Noah, and Emma's heart stopped. Clara's voice rang out, fierce. "You're done, Kane. Cops are coming." Sirens wailed, faint but closing, Ryan's backup finally near. Kane's eyes flickered, panic breaking his calm. "Burn it all," he barked, tossing a flare toward the cruiser, flames sparking. Emma lunged, knocking the gun from his hand, Duke tackling him, pinning him to the dirt. Ryan cuffed the remaining gunman, Clara pulling Noah from the car as the flames licked higher. Emma stood over Kane, tire iron raised, tears streaming. "For David," she whispered, but Ryan grabbed her arm, his voice urgent. "He's worth more alive, Emma." "Let him talk." Duke's snarl held Kane, his loyalty a testament to 4 years of waiting. The sirens grew louder, backup arriving, but Kane's laugh was chilling. "You think I'm the toppin'?" "My client's untouchable." Emma's blood ran cold, the USB burning in her pack. Harper was out there, and Kane's client, a shadow above them all, was closing in. As deputies swarmed, Emma clung to Noah and Duke, Clara's hand on her shoulder, Jenny's eyes haunted. The fight for truth wasn't over, but Duke's heart had brought them this far, and Emma wouldn't stop now. The Colorado dawn broke raw and unforgiving, the sky a bruised gray over the Route 50 motel, its neon sign flickering in the mist. Emma Wilson crouched behind a rusted dumpster, her dark hair matted with sweat, her flannel shirt torn from the diner ambush. Her heart thundered, the USB drive, burner phone, and blood-stained note. "Harper knows. Silence him." Burning in her pack proof that Victor Kane, now in custody, was a pawn for a shadowy client who orchestrated the crash that killed her husband, David. Duke, her black and tan German shepherd, pressed against her, his scarred eye glinting, his growl low but fierce, his loyalty unbroken after 4 years of waiting on Highway 24. Noah, her 12-year-old son, huddled beside her, his sandy hair damp, clutching Duke's old tennis ball, his eyes wide with fear but trust. Clara Evans, graying blonde hair loose, gripped a crowbar, her jacket streaked with diner grease. Detective Ryan Carter, his sheriff's jacket bloodied, scanned the motel with his pistol drawn. Jenny Harper's tip, her brother John at room 12, driving them here. The client, Kane's boss, was closing in, and John Harper was their last shot at the truth. Room 12's on the second floor, Ryan whispered, his brown hair mussed, pointing to a rickety balcony. 2 men patrolling, maybe more inside. We go quiet. Get Harper out. His eyes flicked to Emma's pack, the USB their leverage. If Kane's client knows we're here, it's a trap. Emma's jaw clenched, her journalist instincts razor sharp. It's a trap either way, she said, voice steady despite the dread. Harper's the key to David's murder. We're not leaving without him. She stroked Duke's fur, his whine grounding her. Noah's voice was small but fierce. Duke'll protect us, Mom. He always has. Emma hugged him, tears stinging, David's memory, his love for Duke, fueling her fight. Clara's eyes narrowed, her crowbar ready. Let's move before they do, she said, her voice gritty. Duke's waited 4 years. We're ending this for him. Jenny, her red hair tied back, her shoulder bandaged from the diner, nodded, guilt heavy in her eyes. John's scared, but he'll talk. He wants to make this right. Ryan led, his gun low, the group creeping toward the motel stairs, Duke's nose sniffing for danger. The air was thick with gasoline and cigarette smoke, the motel a run-down husk of peeling paint and broken windows. Emma's pulse raced, the burner phone's text. Harper's at Route 50 motel, a ticking clock. Duke's ears twitched, his growls spiking as a shadow moved on the balcony, a guard, rifle slung, unaware. Ryan signaled and Clara tossed a pebble, distracting him. Duke darted, silent, tackling the guard, his jaws disarming without bloodshed. Emma zip-tied the man, her hands shaking but steady, whispering, "Good boy." They reached room 12, the door ajar, a faint light spilling out. Ryan eased it open, revealing a cluttered space, empty whiskey bottles, a flickering TV, and John Harper, mid-40s, scarred face, gaunt, hunched over a table with a gun in hand. He jolted, aiming wildly, but Duke's growl stopped him, the German shepherd standing guard. "Don't shoot!" Jenny cried, stepping forward. "John, it's me. These people are here to help." John's eyes darted, panic raw. "Jenny, you led them here?" His voice cracked, sweat beading on his brow. "Kane's boss. They'll kill me." Emma stepped into the light, her voice calm but fierce. "We've got Kane. We know about the crash, John. You hit my husband's car. Tell us who paid you, and we'll protect you." John's gun trembled, tears falling. "I didn't know he'd die," he choked out. "Victor Kane hired me. Said it was a warning for David Wilson, something about a land deal. His client, some big shot, wanted him quiet. I was broke, took the money." He dropped the gun, head in hands. "They've been hunting me since." "The truck's buried near the crash site. Evidence, Vian blood. Your dog's been sitting on it." Emma's heart shattered, David's late-night calls flashing, his worry about a deal. "Who's the client?" she demanded, tears streaming. "Who killed my husband?" Before John could answer, the motel shook, a deafening explosion ripping through the parking lot. Flames erupted, the group's cruiser engulfed, glass shattering. "Ambush!" Ryan yelled, diving for cover as gunfire tore through the walls. Duke snarled, shielding Noah, who screamed, "Mom!" Emma tackled him behind the bed, Clara swinging her crowbar at a gunman bursting through the door. Jenny fired John's gun, grazing the man, but more poured in. 6, heavily armed, their leader shouting, "The drive, now!" Emma's rage surged, her voice a roar. "You're not taking Duke!" She grabbed a lamp, smashing it over a gunman's head, Duke lunging at another, disarming with precision. Ryan's shots dropped a third, but the leader, a tall man in a dark coat, aimed at John. "You're done, Harper," he snarled, firing. John dove, the bullet grazing his arm, blood spraying. Clara dragged him behind a dresser, her voice fierce. "Stay down!" Noah's cry pierced the chaos, his tennis ball rolling free as a gunman grabbed him. "Let him go!" Emma screamed, lunging, but Duke was faster, tackling the man, his jaws clamping the arm, freeing Noah. Emma pulled her son close, tears falling, Duke's bloodied ear a testament to his fight. Ryan wrestled the leader, but a new voice cut through, a woman's, cold and commanding from the balcony. "Enough!" The drive, or the boy dies. Emma froze, her blood icing as a figure stepped into view. Laura Bennett, a local real estate magnate, mid-50s, her blonde hair sleek, her suit pristine. The twist landed like a sledgehammer. Bennett, not a man, was Kane's client, the mastermind behind David's murder. "You?" Emma gasped, her voice breaking. "You killed my husband?" Bennett's smile was venomous, her gun aimed at Noah. "David found my offshore accounts tied to the land deal. He had to go." "Your dog's been a problem guarding that truck." She nodded at the USB in Emma's pack. "Hand it over, and maybe I spare the kid." Clara's eyes blazed, her crowbar raised. "You're done, Laura." The whole town's watching Duke's story. She glanced at her phone, live streaming the chaos, thousands viewing. Bennett's composure cracked, her gun wavering. Ryan seized the moment, tackling her, the gun skittering across the floor. Duke lunged, pinning her guard, his snarl a vow. Emma grabbed the gun, aiming at Bennett, her voice lethal. "For David!" "For Duke." Noah clung to Duke, his voice a sob. "Don't let her win, Mom." Jenny, bleeding but standing, handed John a cloth, her voice fierce. "Tell them everything, John." "For Emma." John nodded, tears streaming. "Bennett's accounts. She laundered millions through the land. The truck's proof." Sirens wailed, Ryan's backup storming the motel, deputies cuffing Bennett and her men. Emma sank to her knees, hugging Noah and Duke, tears falling. "You did it, boy," she whispered, Duke's whine softening her pain. Clara knelt beside them, her voice thick. "He's a damn miracle, Emma." Ryan cuffed Bennett, his face grim. "The USB's enough to bury her, but Harper's testimony seals it." He looked at Duke, respect shining. "Your dog's the real hero." But Bennett's laugh was chilling, even in cuffs. "You think I'm the top? There's always another." Emma's blood ran cold, the USB heavy in her pack. Bennett was down, Harper safe, but another shadow loomed. As deputies secured the motel, Emma clung to her family, Duke's loyalty, a light in the dark. The truth was closer, but the fight wasn't over, not until every secret was unearthed. The Colorado sun rose pale and hesitant, casting a fragile light over the small town along Highway 24. Clara Evans's diner stood scarred but defiant, its shattered windows boarded up, the lot littered with glass from the ambush that nearly claimed them. Emma Wilson sat at a corner booth, her dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail, her flannel shirt clean, but her eyes heavy with exhaustion. Her hands rested on Duke, the black and tan German shepherd, whose scarred ear was bandaged, his white-flecked muzzle nuzzling her. 4 years of waiting by the road had led to this. Victor Kane and Laura Bennett in custody, their land scam and David's murder exposed by the USB drive, burner phone, and John Harper's testimony. Noah, her 12-year-old son, sat beside her, his sandy hair mussed, sketching Duke with a pencil, the tennis ball tucked in his pocket. Clara wiped down the counter, her graying blonde hair tied back, her apron crisp, despite the chaos. Detective Ryan Carter stood by the door, his sheriff's jacket slung over a chair, his brown hair disheveled as he reviewed case files. Bennett's chilling words, "There's always another," hung like a shadow, hinting at a deeper player still out there. Emma stroked Duke's fur, her voice soft, raw. "You kept us safe, boy. All those years you were fighting for Dad." Duke whined, his eyes warm, his loyalty a beacon after the motel raid. Noah looked up, his voice trembling but proud. "He's our hero, Mom." Dad would have loved this. He held up his sketch. Duke, fierce and noble, guarding the highway. Emma's heart swelled, tears brimming, David's memory alive in their reunion. Clara set down a coffee pot, her voice steady but warm. "That dog's a miracle, Emma. Whole town's talking. Your videos at 1 million views. People are donating to rebuild the diner. Help Duke." She slid a tablet across, showing comments. "Duke's story saved my faith in love. Find that client." Emma smiled, but Bennett's warning gnawed at her. The USB had bank records, emails, and a partial name, E. Caldwell, tied to offshore accounts, but no face, no proof. Ryan flipped through files, his face grim. "Bennett's singing, but she's scared. Says Caldwell's a ghost. Political, maybe federal. Harper's testimony nails her and Kane for the crash, but Caldwell's the one who ordered David's hit." He met Emma's gaze, his voice low. "Your husband found their money trail, land deals, laundering the works. That's why they killed him." Emma's throat tightened, rage and grief colliding. "David was just a contractor," she said, voice breaking. "Why him?" She clutched Duke, his warmth grounding her. "We've got Bennett, Kane, Harper's story. Why's Caldwell still out there?" Noah's voice piped up, small but sharp. "Because Duke knows something, right? He stayed at that spot for a reason." He tossed the tennis ball, Duke catching it gently, his whine a vow. Clara nodded, her eyes narrowing. "The truck, Harper said it's buried near the crash site. If there's evidence, it's there." Ryan's radio crackled, a deputy's voice, urgent. "Carter, we got a hit." Caldwell's name popped up in a wire transfer, linked to a law firm in Denver. "Sending you the address now." Emma's pulse surged. This was their shot. "We go," she said, standing, her journalist's fire reignited. "We find Caldwell. End this." Clara grabbed her jacket, her voice fierce. "I'm coming. Duke's family and this town's done hiding." Noah stood, clutching his sketch, his eyes determined. "Me too, Mom. For Dad." Ryan hesitated, then nodded, respect in his eyes. "All right, but we're careful." "Caldwell's got reach. Cops, maybe feds. Duke's our edge." They piled into Ryan's cruiser, Duke in the back, his growl soft but alert. The Denver law firm was a sleek high-rise, its glass facade gleaming under the morning sun. Emma's pack held the USB, phone, and note, her resolve steel despite the danger. Clara's crowbar was tucked under her seat, a quiet promise. Jenny Harper had stayed behind, guarded at the station, her brother's testimony, their leverage. As they parked, Duke's nose twitched, his hackles rising, sensing a threat. Emma's heart pounded. Something was wrong. The firm's lobby was sterile, marble floors echoing as they approached the receptionist, a young man with a nervous smile. "We need to see Edward Caldwell," Ryan said, badge flashing. The man stammered, "No Caldwell here," but Duke's growl cut through, his nose pointed at a hallway. Emma's instincts flared. She followed Duke, ignoring the receptionist's protests, Ryan, Clara, and Noah close behind. The hallway led to a locked office, the nameplate blank. Duke pawed the door, his snarl urgent. Clara's crowbar pried it open, revealing a dark room, files strewn, a laptop humming, and a safe cracked open. Emma's flashlight swept the space, landing on a photo. David, smiling, with a man in a suit. E. Caldwell, mid-60s, silver hair, sharp eyes, her breath caught. David knew him, she whispered, tears falling. This is personal. Ryan grabbed the laptop, but Duke's bark exploded, his body lunging at the door. Footsteps thundered. 4 men in tactical gear, rifles raised, bursting in. "Drop it!" their leader barked, aiming at Noah. Emma shoved her son behind her, Duke snarling, shielding them. Clara swung her crowbar, cracking a gunman's knee, while Ryan fired, grazing another. "Get the safe," Emma yelled, diving for it, her hands closing on a ledger, names, dates, millions laundered through the land deal. The twist landed like a gut punch. The leader ripped off his mask, revealing Tom Randall, freed from custody. "You should have stayed away, Emma," he sneered, rifle trained on her. "Caldwell's my ticket out. That ledger's mine." Emma's blood ran cold. Tom wasn't just a pawn. He'd played them, released by a corrupt insider to silence them. "You killed David," Emma said, voice lethal, clutching the ledger. "For money?" Duke's growl was a thunderclap, his body coiled, ready to strike. Noah's voice broke through, a sob. "Duke, help!" The German shepherd lunged, tackling Tom, his jaws disarming, pinning him to the floor. Clara knocked out another gunman, Ryan cuffing a third, but the fourth aimed at Duke. Emma threw the ledger, hitting his arm, the shot going wild. Ryan tackled the last man, but Tom's laugh was chilling, even pinned. "Caldwell's got friends, higher than you know. You're dead, all of you." Duke's snarl silenced him, his loyalty a wall against Tom's venom. Sirens wailed, Ryan's backup, storming the building, deputies flooding in. Emma clung to Noah, Duke nuzzling them, his bloodied ear a badge of courage. Clara grabbed the laptop, her voice fierce. "We've got the ledger, the USB." "Caldwell's done." Ryan cuffed Tom, his face grim. "Feds are moving on Caldwell. Your video, Emma, it's got the world watching." "He can't hide." He looked at Duke, awe in his eyes. "That dog's a damn legend." Emma's tears fell, her voice breaking as she hugged Noah and Duke. "You kept your promise, boy. You brought us justice." Clara knelt beside them, her hand on Emma's shoulder, her voice thick. "David's proud, Emma. You all are." But a new text buzzed on the burner phone, stolen from Tom. "Caldwell's a start. The real boss is watching." Emma's heart froze. The client wasn't Caldwell, but someone higher, still free. Duke's growl echoed, a vow to fight on. The ledger was their weapon. The truth, their shield, and their family, human and canine, was unbreakable. The Colorado afternoon glowed with a gentle warmth, the sun casting golden rays over Clara Evans's rebuilt diner on Highway 24. The lot, once scarred by gunfire and flames, now bustled with life. Locals, reporters, and animal lovers gathered for a celebration honoring Duke, the black and tan German shepherd who waited 4 years for his family. Emma Wilson stood at a makeshift podium, her dark hair tied back, a clean flannel shirt tucked into jeans, her voice steady as she addressed the crowd. At 35, her journalist's fire had fueled a fight for justice, exposing Victor Kane, Laura Bennett, and Edward Caldwell for the crash that killed her husband, David. Duke sat proudly beside her, his scarred ear healed, his black and tan fur gleaming, eyes bright with quiet triumph. Noah, her 12-year-old son, tossed Duke's tennis ball, his sandy hair catching the light, a wide grin erasing months of grief. Clara, graying blonde hair loose, served coffee from a new counter, her apron crisp, her smile radiant. Detective Ryan Carter leaned against a post, his sheriff's jacket unbuttoned, pride in his eyes. The USB drive, ledger, and John Harper's testimony had toppled a criminal empire, but a cryptic text. The real boss is watching, hinted at a shadow still lurking. Emma gripped the podium, her voice thick with emotion. "Duke's loyalty brought us here," she said, eyes sweeping the crowd. "4 years, through storms and hunger, he waited for us, guarding the truth about my husband's murder. This diner, this town, you all helped bring him home." Duke's tail thumped, his whine a soft echo of David's love. The crowd cheered, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading Duke's Miracle. Noah stepped up, his voice clear, holding his sketch of Duke. "My dad taught Duke to never give up," he said, tears brimming. "He's our hero, and this is for him." He pointed to a sign. Duke's Fund, a charity Emma launched to reunite lost pets with their families, funded by donations from the viral video, now at 2 million views. Clara wiped her eyes, her voice warm. "That dog's changed us all. This town's stronger for it." Ryan joined them, his tone steady but proud. "Kane, Bennett, Caldwell, they're done. Feds are chasing the last threads of their network thanks to Duke's evidence." He nodded at Emma, respect shining. "Your family broke this open, Emma. David'd be damn proud." The crowd applauded, but Emma's gaze drifted to Duke, her heart heavy. Bennett's warning, the text, a faceless real boss, still out there. A familiar figure approached. Jenny Harper, her red hair tied back, her shoulder healed, guilt softened by redemption. "John's testifying today," she said, voice low. "He wanted me to give you this." She handed Emma a small, sealed envelope, David's handwriting on it. "For Emma, if I'm gone." Emma's breath caught, tears falling as she opened it, revealing a letter and a photo. David, Emma, Noah, and Duke laughing in their old backyard. The letter read, "M, if I'm gone, Duke'll find you. He's our heart. Keep fighting." Emma clutched it, sobbing, Duke nuzzling her, his whine a vow. "You knew, didn't you?" she whispered to Duke, kissing his head. Noah hugged them, his voice a sob. "Dad's with us, Mom." Through Duke. Clara joined, her hand on Emma's shoulder, her voice thick. "You're family now, all of you. This diner's yours any time." The celebration continued, kids tossing balls for Duke, locals sharing stories of their pets, the fundraising thousands. Ryan pulled Emma aside, his voice low. "Feds found a name tied to the text, Marcus Vaughn, some DC. Heavyweight. He's in the wind, but we're closing in." Emma's heart skipped, the twist landing. A new shadow, bigger than Caldwell, still watching. She glanced at Duke, his eyes alert, sensing the unseen threat. "He's not done, is he?" she asked, voice steady but fearful. Ryan shook his head, his eyes on Duke. "Not yet. But with that dog, you're unstoppable." He smiled, a rare softness. "Keep him close." Emma nodded, the letter in her pocket a talisman, David's words her strength. As the crowd thinned, Emma took the mic, her voice clear, heartfelt. "Duke's story isn't just ours. It's about love, loyalty, never giving up. Share your stories with us. What's your pet taught you about hope?" She grinned at Noah, who tossed the ball, Duke leaping to catch it, the crowd cheering. "Join our community. Help us keep Duke's Fund growing, reuniting families everywhere." Clara raised a glass, her voice carrying. "To Duke, the Highway 24 hero." The crowd roared, toasting, Duke barking joyfully, his tail a blur. Emma knelt, hugging him, her voice a whisper. "You brought us home, boy. Thank you." Noah joined, his sketch now framed on the diner wall, a testament to their miracle. James approached, his eyes glistening. "You're my hero too, Em. I'm staying if you'll have me." Emma's tears fell, her hand squeezing his. "Always, Dad." Duke nuzzled them, a family reborn. The celebration faded, but Emma's resolve burned. Vaughn was out there, and David's fight wasn't over. Duke's eyes met hers, fierce and ready, a promise of battles to come. For now, they had this moment: love, justice, home, and it was enough.